Welcome back. Thanks for joining us for another episode. We're going to be talking today about something called CVSS, and that stands for Common Vulnerabilities Security something?
Yeah, we
something
fell off
security?
the ledge there.
Darn.
Not too bad, though.
That was
Scoring
close.
system.
Scoring system.
It's a scoring system.
Okay, makes sense.
We're keeping score here.
As always.
As in, how bad is it, really? Right.
Should we be worried or should we be worried?
Right.
Okay.
So just be like, oh, yeah, we should probably take care of that. Or, oh, no.
So this is I've heard of CVE before.
Yeah.
But this is a different thing. This is like a ranking for like exactly how bad something is.
Correct.
Okay.
It is all about the severity of the vulnerability itself.
Okay, gotcha. So is this the actual CVSS, is this like a website? Is this an organization? Or is this just the name of the system?
So this is the name of the system. If you go to first.org, which I have the website pulled up here, you can find all the necessary information down to the nth degree about CVSS. Anything you ever want to know about CVSS is going to be right here at www.first.org/CVSS. Now, once you go there, you're going to be like, cool, there's a lot of fun stuff on here. It's a very nice sky blue background with the grass green thing going on. But if you look over here on the left in the menu area, you'll notice we've got CVSS version 3.1, version 3.0, version 2, version 1, and they're all still there. Are you saying that is just for posterity or what's going on there? So here's the thing. Most of your vulnerability scanning systems, right, not scoring systems, but your scanners, right, your OpenVASs, your Nessuses, your Qualises, and so on and so forth, they may be using CVSS 3.0. They may be using CVSS 2.0. Just depends on the vendor. So a lot of these things are still supported and being used in the wild. I'm going to go with what's the latest and greatest, which is 3.1. Here's a fun fact. 3.1 and 3.0, not a ton of difference there. And actually, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm remembering correctly, there's literally no difference in the severity levels, all the little bits and pieces that we're going to see here in just a moment that kind of make up what a CVSS score looks like and how that's calculated. Well, the calculation, yes, there's some change there, but all the major components, it's definitionally different in some of just a few areas.
Okay.
Which does affect scoring when you do the calculations. But ultimately, we're probably not going to end up doing that at this level where you're actually trying to like compute the CVSS score. You don't have to like figure that out. You just need to be able to look at a CVSS score and go, I know what that is. It looks kind of weird. Let me actually show you because you're like, okay, Daniel, I'm not really grasping what's going on. So I pulled up this CVE, which is very current right now. And you'll notice it has a base score. It's for Microsoft.
Oh.
And I don't know if you noticed that. It says 9.8.
Yikes.
Critical.
Out of 10, right?
Out of 10, yes. The score does go to 10. It's a 9.8. But here is the CVSS score, and you'll notice it is version 3.1. And we have all this AV:(N, AC:/PRN, blah, 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 blah. Right? These are the things, these are the metrics that they use to calculate the score. You don't need to be able to calculate the score, but what you do need to be able to do is look at this AV:(N and know what that means.
Right. Okay. Because right now it just looks like alphabet soup.
Exactly.
So we need to be able to define that or like understand it.
Right. And that will help you go, okay, well, if AV is N and AC is L, that's probably where the start of this whole 9.8 business is coming from. Because I know what that means, but if you don't, and I can see, she's like, can you please tell me what this means?
I'm like, yeah, definitely.
So I say what we'll do is we'll break this down. You know what I'll do? I'll grab this.
Okay.
I'm just going to copy that.
Making
bing,
copies.
bing. And we will make a copy. That's right. Making copies.
Making
Look at
copies.
you.
I catch on.
Yeah.
Eventually.
You're
Takes a little
referencing.
bit.
I don't need another web page. What am I doing? Open up. There we go. This is what I need. And we'll just like open up a, editor. We'll go with Nano CVSS. Bam. All right. And I'll paste this in here. So now that we have that, we'll break it down.
Okay.
So that we understand what all these pieces mean. And ultimately, that's what you need to walk away from, that and the different severity levels. That's definitely some memorization material for you as well.
Definitely, because there's a lot of different letters, and it's probably better to just you got to memorize what they are,
Exactly.
or what they mean. So maybe there's a mnemonic device. Who knows? But
You come up with one.
Yeah, you could come up with one. Get your flashcards out or whatever.
I'm gonna write a song.
Get ChatGPT to do it. For
Yeah, there you go. That's probably a good idea.
Probably would.
Yeah.
So there's the actual severity rating scale, which is that number that we saw. But then there's also the exploitability metrics, and then the impact metrics. And so that's what all these letters mean.
That's what all this means.
So we'll start with, I guess, the exploitability metrics.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the idea. So what we're looking at is the base metric group, and which gives us the base metric score.
Right.
Okay? So that 9.8 is the base metric score, which comes from the base metrics group. There are other metric groups with other metrics,
Okay.
right? And we'll take a look at those just momentarily, but you don't need to be like familiar with that
Okay.
at this point. Okay? Makes sense?
Yeah.
I only want to give you what you need. And right now, this is for like the vast majority of what you'll do. This is what's important.
Okay. Appreciate that.
So let's exploitability metrics are what make up the base metrics group, that and the impact metrics. So starting with the exploitability metrics, which are going to be the AV, the AC, the PR, the UI, and the S.
Yeah. I know what all that means.
I know you do.
Yeah.
And since you do, take it away.
The first one I know is attack vector.
Very
but
good.
I'm not sure what the N stands for.
AV equals attack vector, right? There's a few different attack vectors which you can take. N is one of them. So when you see that colon, it's letting you know which attack vector this could be. And now that we've said that, now you know what colons mean. And then a slash is just, hey, we're moving on to the next thing.
Right. Okay.
Easy?
Makes sense.
We're all together on this. I like
Same
it.
page.
We're
Yeah.
coming together. Synergy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Corporate synergy. I just wanted to put that in here. All right. So the attack vectors here are going to be, we'll say N is going to equal network.
Oh, okay.
Like that. Pretty easy, right?
So that's just one of the attack vectors it could be.
That's just one of them,
Okay.
right? You also have A, which equals adjacent. Like that, right? Did I spell that correctly? Adjacent. There's no J.
There's a little, yeah.
There's a J in adjacent, Daniel.
Adjacent to what?
Adjacent. Adjacent to your organization, your network.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Right? I know. It's a weird one. This is one of those things that are kind of like a weird difference, and they wanted to clarify that a little bit more. But ultimately, so a network attack vector means it comes from the network outside in.
Okay.
And it is over the network in which this attack is performed or the vulnerability is vulnerable. Adjacent means that it's like it could be a part of your local network. It's a little muddy, I got to be honest with you. They try to clarify it a little bit. And ultimately, I mean, you can read the documentation on this. Let's go here. And if you kind of look down, all this stuff is in here. So if you go to this and you hit the specification documents right here, so 3.1 and love dynamic websites, click on that, scroll out, you can view this in PDF. Here are those lovely metrics. Again, this is your meat and potatoes right here, is what you want to kind of really dive yourself into. But here we are. There's network. Whoa, there's adjacent right there. Mm-hmm. Vulnerability component is bound to the network stack, but the attack is limited to at the protocol level.
Okay.
Right? So it is a network-based attack, but it's only on specific protocol to a logically adjacent topology.
Okay.
If that makes a lot of sense to you, great. I still don't think that's as clear as it probably could be. Maybe this can mean that the attack must be launched from the same shared physical, Bluetooth or logical IP subnet, which is network, right? Which is why it's like,
okay.
The best way to go about it, in my estimation, is if it is strictly a network thing, network.
Mm-hmm.
If it is some type of communication that could include network and probably utilizing a specific protocol, then you would go adjacent.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Then you have local. You can see that on the screen. That's fun. We're going to put that in our little list here. So we're going to put that in. Capital L equals local.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, it's the actual device. It's the local device.
That makes a little more sense to me. That's a little more obvious to me, I feel like.
Now, you might be like, does that mean you got to have hands-on keyboard? Because that seems like our next one, which is physical. He's like this, right? So is PHYSICAL. Bam. Physical. So there's our 4 attack vectors, right? They're exploitability metrics.
Mm-hmm.
Local, I can use something like RDP.
Okay.
RDP lets me move the mouse,
Right.
right? Because they get a graphical representation. They're actually using RDP to log into my Kali box.
Because you're behaving like it's like you're a local user.
It's like you're a local
Right,
user.
okay.
But ultimately, since it's like you're a local user, we're just going to call it local.
Right. Yeah, that makes
Which
sense.
is weird to me because I use RDP and that's a network protocol, so how's that not a JIT? You start to see where it gets weird. So make sure you go over the white paper that's on First Start, right? You want to be like, I got this, right? And then physical is you actually I can put my hands on it,
Okay.
right? Which is...
But that wouldn't just necessarily be limited to like logical stuff, right? That could be like you're doing something physically to the machine, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That is exactly right. So think of like a memory attack. If I wanted to have access to the memory, so I can pull off the information off of memory chips if I have physical access to them.
Right.
I can jack into them and read the information while the machine is running if I have physical access.
Right.
Right? Maybe if I'm plugging in a USB, that would be a physical attack vector. I need to physically be able to put my hands on the device.
Right. That makes sense.
Right? So you got network, you got adjacent, you got local, and you got physical.
Okay.
Always kind of working their way from being more remote to in person.
Okay.
Does that make
Gotcha.
sense? So full remote to in person is kind of the spectrum we're on.
Okay. So attack vector, the way that the attack needs to be carried out or that it is carried out,
Yeah.
right? So the next one is attack complexity, and there's less I guess identifiers here, right? It's just low or high. That's it.
Don't you love it?
I love it.
I
A
do.
lot easier.
Makes our lives a whole lot easier.
Yeah.
Yes, this one is a whole lot simpler. Is the complexity of the attack high or is it low? What's it going to be? So we won't put that in there. AC is what you'll see it as, and that equals attack complexity. And we have L equals, guess what? Low, not my last name. And H equals high. So there you go. This one's pretty simple. If it doesn't take a whole lot of wherewithal to make this happen, maybe there's a script available, proof of concept code out on GitHub or something to that effect, and all I have to do is fire that off. Or if I go to a specific URL and I type this in and it does the thing, that's low complexity. It doesn't take a genius to go to a URL and type in a specific string and make an attack work.
Yeah.
Right? So what is our attack vector? And so we've got network for the CVSS score that we saw with a 9.8 critical. And now you can see why, with attack complexity being low,
Easier to carry out.
it's easy to carry out.
Okay. So that might contribute to why it's more critical.
That is definitely going to drive
Okay.
that score up that ladder and make it
Okay.
higher on the severity
Because if it's a higher complexity, maybe there's less of a chance of somebody carrying it
Right,
out.
because it could be completely remote, right? You got this on the network, right? It's a network-based attack. But if it's high complexity, then not everybody and their brother is going to be able to do this.
Yeah.
It takes somebody that knows how to work with these systems to pull this off.
Okay.
And then if we add a few more other options in, that could definitely make it even less likely, and you'll see the score go down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. So that's attack complexity. Then there's privileges required, and similarly, it's either no privileges or low or high, right?
Don't you love it?
Yeah.
Right? It seems all crazy. Like you look at this and you're like, what is this Sanskrit?
Yeah.
Right? Do I need the stinking Rosetta Stone to figure this out?
It's deceptively complex.
It is deceptively, it looks more complex than it actually
Right,
is.
right.
It's not too bad. So yes, the next one on our list here is going to be privileges required, or the PR, not your personal record, of I'll just say privs required, IRD. And then you have low. I want to do it again. It's just a habit. I type my name all the time, so.
You have to have Daniel privileges to carry this one out.
Right. And then
I think none.
I think none is
yeah.
the other one. You might not need privileges at all,
Which would be scary,
right?
yes.
So none equals. So if you start seeing multiple things that have N, that's where it can get confusing because this says :N, but it doesn't mean the same N as network.
Right.
Attack vectors.
And that first one, L, stood for local, but with the rest of these, it stands for
Now
low.
low.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Better
right?
to just memorize it, like you said.
There you go. All right. Moving on. We have what's
User,
next?
I think user interaction, right?
User interaction. That's right. Do you need somebody to do something? Do I need to get Sophia to click the thing?
Oh, okay.
Right. Do I need her to get to download this attachment? Say yes when the prompt comes up,
Okay.
right? Those kind of things. At what point does the user get involved, if at all? And ultimately, that's what they boiled it down to. Does the user need to get involved or do they not? Okay? So we have UI, which equals user interaction, and then you have to have none or required.
Right.
So none or R for required. Okay?
Okay.
Do I need them to click something? Do I not? Simple. I
Yeah.
like simple. Makes it easy for me.
Pretty straightforward. Simple little yellow, different, new print, whatever.
So we got one
So-
more in the exploitability metrics.
Yes. So the next one is scope, and the two, I guess, ratings or whatever that it could be assigned would be changed or unchanged.
Yeah.
And I'm not really sure what they mean by that.
So yeah, the scope is a hard one to kind of figure out. Let's put this in here. So S equals scope. Let's go to the document on this one.
Oh, good.
Because, right, you have unchanged, you have changed, and they just say it so much better. It's one of those things that, like, I know what it means, but it's hard to explain. Does that make sense?
You understand it, but to explain
Right.
to somebody else, yeah.
So let's see here. Let's kind of roll it down here. And that's the great thing about having the documentation available to us. And here we go, in the scope. So the scope metric captures whether a vulnerability is one vulnerable component, impacts resources and components beyond its security scope, right? Formerly security authority in a mechanism, an application, an operating system. You start to see why this is difficult to explain, right? So ultimately, I think you come down here, defines and enforces access controls in terms of how certain subjects or actors, e.g. humans, users, processes, can access certain restricted object resources, e.g. files, CPU, memory, in a controlled manner. So does it go outside of that scope? Does it change what they can or cannot access and what they can or cannot do? Or does that remain unchanged?
Right, okay.
Right? So this is almost like it seemingly like privilege escalation.
Okay.
Is there privilege escalation involved or is there not? Right? So if a vulnerability in a vulnerable component can affect a component which is in a different security scope than the vulnerability component, the scope change occurs.
So if the vulnerable component and the component that's impacted are different,
Yes.
that would be changed.
Yes. And that's why I wanted to lean on them because they said it so, I could never have put it that way.
Right.
Right? That's the best way to put it. If I'm reaching outside of what I've exploited into some new uncharted territories, in places it was not meant to reach into, I have changed the scope. The scope
Okay.
is now changed. If I'm kind of locked in that bubble, I'm inside that walled garden and I can't get out, then the scope is unchanged.
Okay. That makes me a little more sense now.
Yeah.
Initially it was a little foggy. So thank you for clearing that
Hey.
up. And then the next, I guess, section of this whole long string of letters, we've talked about the exploitability metrics, and now we want to get into the impact metrics. And this looks more familiar to me because I feel like this is something that I've seen a lot in like other things that I've studied and stuff. That CIA triad comes back,
Yeah,
right?
it's right there, staring you in the face, right?
Yeah. Hard to
you
miss.
think, oh man, that's the first security thing most people learn is like the CIA triad,
Yeah.
right? It was, I'm a security.
Iron triangle.
That's
yeah.
right, the old iron triangle. It's back with a vengeance.
Back and better than
Right
ever.
here in CVSS, right? So this is going to be our impact metrics. What does it impact and how does it impact it? Confidentiality, high, low, none. Integrity, high, low, none. Availability, high, low, none. And of course, high is defined, low is defined, and all of these things. High is going to be, obviously, confidentiality has been completely eradicated.
Yeah.
And everybody and their brother now has a copy of this.
Right.
That's no bueno.
And it might affect confidentiality at a high scale, but it might not affect availability at all.
Correct.
So,
That's right. Oh, yeah. No, it's a confidentiality blown,
Yeah.
but it's available.
it's very available. In
It's
fact, that
very
yeah.
available.
Maybe it makes the availability even more. Maybe it
Right.
increases the availability.
Yeah, well, we don't like this, right? So that's ultimately where you're at when it comes to those impact metrics. Is it still the same, or does it impact it at all? High, low, none for all
Okay.
of these things.
That seems a little more I guess, straightforward. Maybe it's just because this is something that's maybe a little more familiar to me, but it seems more straightforward or a little easier to grasp than that first chunk. But the first chunk is now a little more clear to me as well.
Yeah.
So these are the metrics that we needed to talk about, all those letters. And then there's that score that we talked about at the beginning. So that is the qualitative severity rating scale, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that's where the numbers come in.
Yes. We are going to give this, a 9.8 on the oh no scale. That's what I like to call it. Like, oh no, this is bad. Right. So this is why it's important for us as security professionals to be kind of like, once a new vulnerability comes out, you start seeing it in your threat feeds. It's got a CVSS of 9.8. Do I have that technology in my network? Because I need to pay attention really quickly if that's the case. Yes,
yeah.
I'm concerned.
Okay.
So let's define what critical means. Let's define what high, medium, low, and none means. So let's get in here, and I'll write these kind of down like we just did, right? So let's start with critical, because what the heck, right? Critical is going to equal between a 9.0 and a 10.0. 10.0 is the top of the scale. It doesn't go beyond that. So 9.0 to 10.0, like that. You ready for the fun part? This is when it gets, let's do high.
Okay.
Not height. And that equals 7.0 to 8.9.
Makes sense.
Right? And that's where it could get like, oh, that might be a little tricky. Right? Because you think, oh, it's going to be 7 to 8.
Right. Okay. But it can't be, an 8 can't be both high and medium, right? Like there's got to be a cutoff somewhere.
Right.
Okay.
It's got to be a cutoff somewhere. And so it used to be a little bit trickier than this, but now they've fixed that out. This is much easier than it used to be. It used to have some weird spots on it. But ultimately, high 9.0 to 10.0. High is 7.0 to 8.9, critical 9.0 to 10.0. So let's put that in there. 7.0 to 8.9. And then medium, of course, equals same kind of thing. 4.0 to 6.9. 4.0 to 6.9, like so. And then low is going to equal, again, very, very odd. This is another one that's probably the one like weirdo of the group here. It's 0.1 to 3.9. Right? So the one kind of oddball out there, 0.1 to 3.9. And then there is a none category, which is why we have low being a weirdo.
Yeah.
Because none is 0.0, like that. So there's your severity scale. Now you know when I see a CVSS score of 7.2, oh, that's a high vulnerability. I probably want to look into that. I want to prioritize that. I want to, prioritizing vulnerabilities is an important thing. So knowing why that scale is there and how that's working out, being able to look at a CVSS score and kind of make heads or tails of it is going to help you determine what you should and should not do when it comes to your vulnerabilities.
It is interesting to me that there's an option to rate it as none, because in my mind, the first thing I think when I think of like a vulnerability is that something's at risk. Yeah. But I guess if the rating is none, that would mean not really. Like maybe this isn't.
There might be a vulnerability, but there may be no way to exploit it.
Oh, okay. I guess that makes sense. Right. Gotcha. Huh. Interesting. So I guess I feel
like theoretical.
Okay, so then that would, I guess, give it a scale of 0 because there's no possible way you could exploit it. Right. Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
You would have to be on Mars on the 3rd
Googled
day of June in 1847.
I'm like, is this real?
Yeah.
Okay, so that makes sense. So I feel like for me, the numbers will be a little bit easier for me to remember because it's a scale and it goes up or whatever. But those letters definitely I'll go in and I'll like take a song and change the lyrics and try to remember it or something. That'll
wait
help.
to hear it.
Give me if you ever hear it, I'll give a little mnemonic device. But there you go. That is the CVSS, those exploitability metrics, impact metrics, and that scale at the end that we talked about. So thank you for walking us through that, Daniel, shedding some light on that, and thank you for joining us for this episode. We'll see you next time.